nobody talks about how awkward it is to make a YouTube video. Like, where do I look? How do I act? I don't. Anyway, I have been wanting to make this video for, I don't know, 6 months at least. I started off my Accutane journey, and I did record it at the very beginning. I did some shorts, so you can go look at those, but it's really hard to look back at those because I struggled. It was a really hard time. So hello, everyone. My name is Holly, and I'm here today to share my 13-month, give or take a couple weeks probably, journey on Accutane, isotretinoin, whatever you want to call it, a medication that I said I regretted taking, and that I would never take it again. And if I had to do it all over, I said I wouldn't do it. But I'm here today to kind of walk through that whole story from start to finish, just hoping that my experience will educate you or help you make an informed decision for what you want to do if you struggle with acne or skin issues. So in this video, I'm going to cover, again, sort of just like the beginning of my actual acne journey itself. I'll talk about the process of getting on the medication and getting approved, insurance, price, the timeline, side effects, the whole process, and sort of like some like gotchas or some aha moments like at the end. So let's start out with my acne journey. So I am 37 years old currently, and I probably got acne for the first time. I remember it being around 18 or 19 years old. And it wasn't just like a little bit of acne. It was bad, very, very bad. Just to the point where I couldn't even try to cover it up. It was so bad. And I remember that's around the time that Proactive was a really big deal and a big thing, but I couldn't afford it at 18, 19 years old. So I don't know what I was using, but I know that it was probably like a year of absolute hell trying to get my skin to figure itself out. I don't really recall the timeline, but at some point I did get on birth control, and I'm assuming back then that probably helped my acne. I'm not recommending that by any means. But all of a sudden I didn't have acne again. Not like that anyway. It was pretty bad. I'll try to find some clips or some old pictures and post them here so you can see sort of how bad that was. But it was just like real deep pustule. It would get real swollen and things like that, and just spread like wildfire, like crazy. So fast forward, I'm maybe like 24, 25, and I do get some acne. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Definitely when it's bad, it's bad. And when it's good, it's really good, really great. And there was no like that time of the month or like, oh, you slept in your makeup, or oh, you ate something oily or greasy. Like we really couldn't pinpoint like what it was. But I will say during both pregnancies that I've had, I had the clearest skin you can imagine. So of course, you know, that led back to thinking, oh, this all must be hormonal, right? Because when I would be pregnant with my 2 children, I just had the best skin ever. And I remember it was just like night and day, and I just loved it. I didn't have to do anything. I was just literally glowing. So anyway, fast forward, and I'm probably around 30 years old at this point. Maybe I'm like 32-ish. And all of a sudden my acne really flared up. I was going through a lot in life. And I just remember thinking, I am like over 30 years old. Why is this still a thing? Like I'm well beyond, you know, adolescence. And I could not get it under control. I'm a pretty clean person, right? Taking care of my face, using good products on it. Well, what I thought were good. I never wore a ton of makeup, but I just could never get it under control. But it was really like hot and cold. Just like I would go like a whole year and my skin was fine. And then all of a sudden the next year, it was just like pure chaos. to the point where there were a few times I had to go to the dermatologist and get steroids because my face was so swollen and compacted, and it would literally just like happen overnight. So anyway, I actually was going to do Accutane, I think for the first time in 2018. And I remember I was on a not so great insurance plan, and it was going to cost more money than I probably had at the time. But I was so miserable, I didn't care. And I went through the whole process with the dermatologist. I went and got like lab work done. You have to take a pregnancy test. We'll talk about all this stuff in the upcoming video. But I remember thinking, like, this, I don't care if I have to go into debt over this. I will pay. I was going to be hundreds of dollars a month for the first 6 months. I was on a high deductible plan. I was willing to pay that. That's how miserable I was. And I worked in an office back then. So I physically had to go into the office every day looking and feeling a certain way, just awful. I would hide in my office. I couldn't take like certain meetings because I was too embarrassed. It would get to the point where it was so bad you can't wear makeup to cover this up. It just makes it worse. And sometimes my face almost looked sort of deformed too because it was so swollen. So anyway, went through that whole process, and for whatever reason, I missed, I think it was a money issue. I missed the boat. I did not go pick up my medication within the set amount of time. I think it's 7 days. You have to pick up your medication within 7 days of taking the pregnancy test. And I didn't because I didn't have the money. And so when I went to get it, they wouldn't let me. And they said, you have to go take another pregnancy test, which means I have to pay for it. And so I just gave up. I said, I'm not doing this. I can't afford it anyway. I was frustrated, emotional, whatever. So that was the first time that I was going to do Accutane. I'm pretty sure I just ghosted my doctor too and just said, I'm done. But now fast forward. So again, I remember I went on a huge health kick around 2018, 2019. I had a lot of other skin issues pop up. I had a crazy skin rash that lasted months. That was unexplainable. But I started eating really clean. I remember I went gluten-free. I started fasting, doing water fasts, things like that. That's probably around the same time when my sort of like fitness lifestyle took off, where that's really like all I cared about was like my health. And I just wanted to be fit and healthy and feel good and look good. And my skin cleared up for whatever reason. I don't know. And then fast forward, it is now probably 2022, 2023. And I would get breakouts a lot, but they wouldn't stick. I'd get a breakout, and then I'd be good for like a whole month, and then I'd get another breakout. And like I said, when the breakouts came, they were really bad. It wasn't just one-zit, two-zit. It was just like all or nothing type of deal. So it got to the point where, and I'll insert some pictures here too, I couldn't even get into the doctor because they were so far booked out. And it got to the point where like by the time I went in, my face, I had some, well, what I think was pretty severe scarring because I had waited too long, and they just immediately put me on steroids to calm everything down. Just real red, compacted, just terrible things that I really pray people don't have to go through what I went through. And I know there's a lot of people where it's way worse, and I will like recognize that as well. Like my acne was bad, but I know it gets way worse because I've seen stories, and I feel for those people so much. But like mentally, I was just in a terrible place. I remember my kids, you know, they would see me crying, they would call me beautiful, and like my daughter's friends would all call me beautiful and stuff. But like I knew I looked like a certain way. And, you know, the stigma around acne, you know, like, oh, you don't wash your face, or, oh, just all I do is use soap and water, or, you know, like, don't wear so much makeup, you know, all that stuff, which none of that is true. And we know that. But the average person who doesn't struggle with acne, they don't know that, because why would they? So anyway, I finally made the decision. I went back to the doctor. She got me on those steroids, and she said, I really think we should do Accutane. And I was really turned off by that idea because of how it happened the first time. This is the same doctor. However, I'm at a different point in my life now. I'm a little older. I'm a little bit more established. I'm on a different insurance plan. I work from home. I have more time. The kids are older. And so I'm considering this. And so she's like, I really think it's the best decision because these antibiotics that we keep prescribing you, like they're just not getting the job done. And eventually they're going to stop working altogether, most likely. So anyway, we go through it that day. I just said, let's do it. And it took probably like a week to get the medication. No, I think it took a whole month and a week because you have to take a pregnancy test that day. And then you have to wait a whole month and then you take another one, I believe. And you have to go through this iPledge program. You cannot get pregnant on Accutane. It is very, very bad for both parties, for you and for the baby. And so you go through the iPledge system and you have to have 2 forms of birth control and you have to pledge every month to this. And you have to get blood work done, which includes that pregnancy test as well. So, and this is throughout like the life or I guess the treatment plan. So my treatment plan was going to be, if I recall, about 9 months, give or take, but they were pretty transparent where like everybody kind of reacts a little bit differently. And I would say by the time I got on Accutane that month and week later, my face actually wasn't very bad. The steroids that they had put me on had really kicked in. And I mean, my inflammation was down. I obviously still had breakouts and like dry, crusty situation. I'll try to insert another clip here. But for the most part, like it didn't even look like I needed to go on something as extreme as Accutane. But we were already all signed up, so we were doing it, right?